Get ready, Friar Faithful. This is the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Jackson swings, hits it in the air, deep to right field. He has done it again. Unbelievable.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt.
Ultimately, what we're here to do is win.
From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the Los Angeles Dodgers in the third game of a four-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today: on the mound for the Dodgers, right-hander Emmett Sheehan, and for the Padres, right-hander Stephen Kolek. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you from Dodger Stadium here in LA. First pitch coming up at 7:10. We have a lot to do in the next 50 minutes. You'll hear from Fernando Tatis Jr., Gavin Sheets, Trenton Brooks. You'll also hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt, and in just a little bit, we check in with Mark Grant, joining Jesse Agler on the radio side of things once again here tonight. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971. With 3 locations: La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres entered today 39-33. Padres have lost 6 of their last 8 games, all to National League West opponents. Meanwhile, the Dodgers entered today 45-29. Dodgers have won 4 in a row. Padres entered today 5 games behind the Dodgers for first place in the National League West. Padres are just 1-4 against LA so far this season. Well, we had all kinds of stuff happen here in LA last night. Let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
We had a back-and-forth affair early on. Gavin Sheets put the Padres ahead in the opening frame.
Pryor delivers. Sheets swings, serves it over Edman into right field, a base hit. Arise racing around third on his way. Hernandez will not throw home. And what an AB from Gavin Sheets as the Padres take a 1-0 lead.
Bottom 2, Andy Pages tied it with a solo home run. In the top of the third, it was Luis Arise.
And Luis smacks it the other way. That is a fair ball into left field. Conferno over to the line. Backhands it, gets to it. Maldonado going to score from second. An RBI single, Luis Arise. And the Padres have tied it back up 2-2 here in the third. And they will look for more with Manny Machado coming up.
In that inning, Fernando Tatis Jr. got hit by a pitch. Shohei Ohtani got hit in the bottom half. Warnings were issued to both teams. Bottom of the fourth inning, Randy Vasquez got the first 2 outs, but then it was Andy Pages again.
0-1. Hit in the air to deep left center field. Lockridge racing into the gap at the wall. Leaps up. He cannot get it, and it's just over the fence. Another home run for Andy Pages. Second of the night, and a 3-3 game here in the fourth.
Randy Vasquez got through 5 and kept the game tied. We went bottom 6, tied at 3. Jeremiah Estrada came in. Freddie Freeman hit a leadoff single. Will Smith was next.
3-2, 12th pitch of the at-bat. Swung on, hit in the air to deep left center field. Sheets is on the move at the wall. It's going to go. On the 12th pitch of the at-bat against Estrada, Will Smith takes him out. A go-ahead 2-run homer here in the bottom of the 6th. It's 5-3.
The trouble continued. Dodgers put together a 5-run inning, all charged to Estrada. They had an 8-3 lead. In the top of the 7th inning, Trenton Brooks got the Padres a little bit closer.
And that's hit in the air to deep right field. Hernandez is going back. He's at the wall looking up. It's going to go. First home run in the big leagues. And Trenton Brooks, a pinch hit home run. 2-run shot at Dodger Stadium, and don't go anywhere. It's 8-5.
Padres had some life, and they weren't done. They loaded the bases. The bases loaded balk, brought home a run to make it 8-6, but that's as close as the Padres would get last night. The final score, the Dodgers 8 and the Padres 6. Dodgers winning the first 2 games of this 4-game series, and now the Padres trying to bounce back with right-hander Stephen Kolek on the mound. First pitch coming up at 7:10. Let's check in with Mud.
Now, let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Mark Grant in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Mud, good to talk to you again. And before we get to
Sammy.
anything else, how about Trenton Brooks, the Alpine kid? Home run yesterday and now back in the lineup here tonight. How about the Alpine kid, huh?
Oh, Sammy, it was so good to see Trenton. It took me back to those days at the Little League Fields Alpine American. And Trenton was hitting home runs there as a 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old. And now to see him in the big leagues in a Padres jersey, I tell you what, I heard him screaming and yelling all the way from Alpine last night here in Chavez Ravine. It was really nice to see. His mom and dad were in attendance, good people. Trenton doing a great job representing the Pine. And I'm glad to see him. Hey, you hit a home run, you should be rewarded, right? He's in the lineup tonight DHing.
Yeah, really nice to see. Great moment for Trenton Brooks. We'll hear from him a little bit later on our pregame coverage. Let's talk about right-hander Stephen Kolek on the mound today for the Padres. Comes in 3-2, a 3.50 ERA. He had an up-and-down start against the Diamondbacks, 4 innings and a third, 4 earned runs given up on 7 hits. But Mud, his 2 starts prior to that were really, really good. What have you seen overall from Stephen Kolek as a starting pitcher?
In a nutshell, Sammy, when Stephen Kolek tries to be too fine, I think that's when he has a little bit of a challenge. He's got sinker, slider, he's got off-speed stuff, secondary pitches that work quite well when he's around the zone. And what I mean by that is when a guy's got a nice two-seam movement on that pitch, the sinker, when a guy's got a nice, sharp, tight slider that he can throw off the plate, if you try to nip corners, well, guess where that pitch is going to be when it goes to home plate into the hitting area? It's going to be way off. I think Steven's got to have confidence in pounding the strike zone with that sinker, working down, get some ground balls. Sure, he can go up in the zone with the best of them as well, and then mix it, like, almost like Vasquez did last night. He utilized his whole repertoire, and he did quite well. So, in a nutshell, Sammy, if he tries to be a little bit too fine, I think that's where he runs into trouble. He's got to trust his stuff a little bit more and not give so much hit. Although this lineup for the Dodgers is very, very potent.
On the other side of this pitching matchup, right-hander Emmett Sheehan on the mound for the Dodgers, coming off of the 60-day IL to make his first start since September of 2023. Had Tommy John surgery in May of last year, so obviously a significant night for him, making his first start off of Tommy John. What do you expect to see tonight from Emmett Sheehan, Mud?
Well, from his rehab assignments that he was getting ready to make this start, he's maxed out at 63 pitches. So is it going to be one of those games to where, he goes 65, 70 pitches? Who knows? Hopefully the Padres get to him early so they can get in the bullpen. But then again, on the flip side, Sammy, you've been watching the games. The Dodgers, for some reason, they've been doing a great job with those bullpen games, those arms. So, hey, for the Dodgers and Dave Roberts are looking for 65, maybe 70 pitches. What's that get him into maybe the 5th inning? Who knows? Hopefully the Padres offense can start at the top and do some damage early and get into that bullpen.
And much like the last couple of days, the Dodgers bullpen is not fresh. So an opportunity for the Padres to take advantage of that here tonight. Mud, let's talk a little bit about Gavin Sheets in the midst of a career-long 8-game hitting streak. He has a beautiful RBI base hit yesterday and a great at-bat against the lefty. We'll talk to him a little bit later about it in our pregame coverage. Your thoughts on Gavin Sheets and the story he's writing for himself in 2025? He's been a tremendous story for this team.
The one thing that sticks out to me immediately when you pose that question, Sammy, is roster. The roster he was on last year with the White Sox. You could pitch around a guy like Gavin Sheets. Really not a challenge as far as when you talk about that White Sox lineup. Now he's coming over to the Padres, and you've got guys like Manny hitting in front of him. You've got guys behind him. He's getting RBI opportunities. And I think he had a rejuvenation in spring training, and it showed with that power that he showed in Peoria. It also comes down to more reps, too. When a guy gets more reps in a position, whether it's a pitcher, whether it's a defender, whether it's a DH, whatever the case may be, you have a little success. That breeds confidence. And I'll tell you what, I think Gavin Sheets has done quite well. So, yes, he's seen the ball well. And versus if you're swinging the bat well, guess what? You're going to be facing lefties as well. Yeah. So you better do a good job of utilizing the whole field, center of the diamond, go the opposite way, and you get that soft stuff middle in. Yeah, you can turn on it for a long ball, a home run off of that of Gavin Sheets.
Mud, great insight as always. We'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at the top of the hour at 7 p.m. Thanks so much, and enjoy the game here tonight.
All right, Sammy, have a good day in the big leagues.
All right, absolutely. Always a good day in the big leagues. That is Mark Grant joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show as we get ready for this one coming up at 7:10 here on the Padres Radio Network. Between now and first pitch, we have a lot to do. We'll hear from Gavin Sheets. We'll hear from Fernando Tatis Jr. We'll hear from Trenton Brooks. And we'll also have our keys to the game, a full breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup, and much, much more. And when we return, we hear from the Padres manager. That's coming up next on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. We continue from LA after this.
Stay tuned to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal.
Pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you from Dodger Stadium here in LA. First pitch coming up at 7:10 as the Padres take on the LA Dodgers in the third game of this four-game series. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in just a minute, so stay tuned for that. First, a look at the starting lineups here today. They look like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. leading off for the Padres in right field. Luis Arraez at first base batting second. Manny Machado at third base batting third. Gavin Sheets, the left fielder, batting cleanup. Jake Cronenworth at second base batting fifth. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting sixth. Trenton Brooks back in the lineup today, the DH batting seventh. Elias Diaz behind the plate batting eighth. And Bryce Johnson in center field tonight making his first start of 2025 for the Padres batting ninth with right-hander Stephen Kolek on the mound. Meanwhile, for LA, Shohei Ohtani, the DH, leading off. Mookie Betts at shortstop batting second. Freddie Freeman at first base batting third. Teoscar Hernandez in right field cleaning up. Max Muncy in the 5 spot playing third base. Andy Pages is in left field batting sixth. Tommy Edman at second base batting seventh. Hyesung Kim in center field batting eighth. And Dalton Rushing doing the catching and batting ninth. So no Will Smith in the lineup today for LA. Right-hander Emmett Sheehan on the mound for the Dodgers. With all that in mind, let's hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt before today's game.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres. Served up by Sin Lee Food. where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Hey, Mike, we start with an update on Jose, how he's feeling today.
Just spoke with him in our pregame meeting and feels better. Texted with him this morning. Medicals, optimistic that it's not going to be long being a couple of days. What he's capable of doing today is still up in the air.
Stephen Cole going for you today. One of the things that he's done really well is just control traffic and seems to stay calm with runners on base, and for the most part has avoided big innings in most of his outings. What do you think is the reason he's able to do that so well? Some of it's stuff, but also some makeup also?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think all of our young starters have shown the ability to do that, and that's not making situations bigger than they are. Go look to execute a pitch, slow things down, know where your outs are, know where your stuff plays, and then just go look to execute.
Yeah, easier said than done though sometimes, especially with 50,000 people cheering, but these guys seem to be able to do it.
Yeah, way easier said than done. I mean, that's a big separator, as you know, and we know in this game it's way easier said than done. People look and see it out there, and bigger picture answer to your question or point is, these guys make this game look so much easier than it actually is. A really hard game, and for guys to slow it down and go execute with a lot of stimulation around here, and a lot of heightened awareness. It's it's a tough thing to do regardless how much experience, especially when you don't have as much. And look forward to seeing pitch tonight.
They have a deep lineup, but you guys have done a pretty nice job of controlling the top part of that lineup. How good do you feel about the execution that your pitchers have been able to do to control the big three at the top for them?
Yeah, no, we've done a nice job, with the top three. I mean, all of them are, heading to a pretty special place. They're really good players and a big part of their engine that makes their team go. And so we've been able to have a real good plan. What we talked about a minute ago, plan's only as good as execution, and guys have been able to really execute very well.
There's obviously a nice swing from Trenton last night, but for him to have done it in the spot that you called upon him to do it in, and given that that could be his role here, what does that say to you about his readiness for that?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, we're looking. There's opportunities to be had, right? And so guys are getting opportunities. More towards the bottom. Our first, 5 or 6, 7 are pretty set every night. A little shorter without Jackson right now, but we're going to do the best we can to match up, put them in good situations, and create some opportunities. And Brooksy took advantage of the opportunity last night, got his first career homer, which we celebrated earlier. And the more you do, the more opportunities you earn.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt earlier today. The first question you heard there, and I should have prefaced his pregame audio there by reminding you that Jose Iglesias was hit on the hand with a pitch yesterday, ultimately came out of the game. As we learned after the game, x-rays were negative. But you heard there, it does not sound like Jose in all likelihood is going to be available for tonight's game. And they're still, hopeful he'll only miss a little bit of time here, maybe a couple of days, like you heard from Mike Shildt there. So we'll see if Jose shows up at some point in this game, but not in the lineup here today for the Padres. First pitch coming up at 7:10. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
We begin with a look at the hot category. Manny Machado is still in that category for the Padres. His last 26 games, Manny is hitting .327 with a .980 OPS, 8 home runs, and 25 RBIs in that span. Manny has a hit in 13 of his past 14 games. He is now 14 hits away from reaching 2,000 on his career. Gavin Sheets also in the hot category today in the midst of a career-long 8-game hitting streak. He's hitting .393 in that span with a .457 on-base percentage. In the not category, we take a look at Xander Bogaerts, who is just 2 for 22 in his last 5 games. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not, as we get ready for Game 3 of this 4-game set here in LA. When we come back, we'll hear from Gavin Sheets. We'll also hear from Trenton Brooks and Fernando Tatis Jr. Plus, we'll also have a look at some headlines from around the major leagues. Much, much more to do from Dodger Stadium in LA on the Padres Radio Network.
Hello, my friend.
Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
A couple of headlines involving ownership in Major League Baseball today. One Major League Baseball related, the other NBA related. Let's start with the news from Tampa Bay today. The Tampa Bay Rays, their principal owner, Stu Sternberg, is in quote-unquote advanced talks to sell the franchise to a group led by Florida-based residential developer Patrick Zalupski, a home builder in Jacksonville. In a potential lead, he's a potential lead buyer in a deal that values the team at about $1.7 billion. So that was reported earlier today. Again, the Rays in advanced talks to sell the team to that group led by that Florida-based residential developer. The other big news of the day, the Buss family entering into an agreement to sell majority ownership of the Los Angeles Lakers to Mark Walter for a franchise valuation of approximately $10 billion. That was reported on earlier today by ESPN, the highest ever for a U.S. professional sports franchise. And the reason this is in our Around the Horn segment, Mark Walter and his diversified holding company, TWG Global, they have majority ownership of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So essentially, it appears the Dodgers and the Lakers will both be owned by the group led by Mark Walter. So both those LA teams will be owned by the same group. Pretty interesting there. And again, a $10 billion valuation to the Lakers. So that's how that folded into our Major League headlines segment. Couple of other headlines for you involving the baseball. Yankees entered today failing to score in 29 consecutive innings. It was the club's longest scoreless streak It was the club's longest scoreless inning streak since a 33-inning drought back in 2016. And the score of their game tonight against the Angels right now in New York, 8th inning, a 2-2 game between the Angels and the Yankees. Meanwhile, Justin Verlander makes his first start in exactly 1 month here today. He was winless in his first 10 starts with the Giants prior to landing on the IL with a pectoral injury. The Giants hosting the Guardians coming up in just a little bit in San Francisco. And that is a look at some of the headlines from around the major leagues. Well, Trenton Brooks had a home run yesterday, his first major league home run. What a nice moment for somebody who grew up in Alpine, went to high school in El Cajon. I caught up with Trenton Brooks, who's DHing tonight once again for the Padres earlier today inside the clubhouse. Right now, I'm joined by Trenton Brooks, who grew up in Alpine, an alum of Granite Hills High School in El Cajon. Well, Trenton, congratulations on your first major league home run. Pretty cool place to do it, I imagine. Padres, Dodgers in this rivalry here in LA. What were your emotions after that swing?
Yeah, I kind of blacked out up there, but no, it was cool. It was fun, a lot of text. It was a surreal experience and an absolute blessing,
You grew up a Padres fan. To have that moment in this uniform, what's the significance for you?
It's big. It's a big moment. I don't know if it's really set in yet. I'm really just trying to, be where my feet are and do whatever I can to help the team win. And it was cool.
And it was pretty cool because your wife, your two kids were here. Your parents drove up from the San Diego area to come see you play. What was it like to have that moment in front of them?
Super cool. It was so cool to see my my family after, my getting to hug my kids, obviously my wife, my parents. It was fun.
Tell me a little bit about growing up in Alpine, playing baseball at Granite Hills High School. What was the experience growing up playing ball?
Yeah, it was good baseball, played, Alpine Little League and I went to Granite and I was blessed to get a scholarship to go play at Nevada Reno. So it was cool. It was fun. A lot of good guys, a lot of fun memories, a lot of lifetime friends.
You said your phone, you got a lot of messages.
Oh, yeah.
You have a number for me? How many messages, calls you got?
Oh, man, I don't. It's a lot. I'm trying to text people back, but it's hard. I can't get back to everybody. I'm trying.
I kind of wonder, and I said this to David Morgan, who has a lot of ties to the area as well. I kind of wonder if there are people
watching the Padres, they're like, wait, is that Trenton Brooks, the kid I knew growing up in Alpine? You get any of those messages?
Yeah, a little bit. People are like, hey, I didn't know you were on the Padres. That's awesome. Yeah, it's like I said, it's really, really cool. A lot of support out there, and Alpine was an awesome place to grow up. A lot of good friends, a lot of good people. So.
That was Trenton Brooks earlier today inside the Padres clubhouse. Brooks DHing once again for the Padres tonight and batting 7th. Let's give you the latest on our injury report.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
A few notes for you. We heard from Mike Shildt earlier today. Again, x-rays were negative on Jose Iglesias after he was hit by a pitch yesterday. We'll see if Jose is available off the bench today. Didn't sound super promising based on what Mike Shildt had to say, but for now, Jose Iglesias is on the active roster, not in the starting lineup here today. As we know, Jackson Merrill still on the 7-day concussion IL. Yu Darvish threw in the bullpen yesterday. He's scheduled to face hitters in a simulated game on Friday at Petco Park. So we'll get an update on you after that. Jason Hayward played in another rehab game yesterday for AAA El Paso. This time he played left field. Hayward went 0 for 3 with a walk in yesterday's game. And that's a look at the injury updates on Iglesias, Merrill, Darvish, and Hayward. Well, Gavin Sheets, in the midst of an 8-game hitting streak, continues to swing the bat really, really well. I caught up with Gavin inside the clubhouse earlier today.
I want to start by talking about the first at bat you had yesterday. Lefty on lefty, you fall behind 0-2. You work the count back to 3-2. You get a slider, you loop it into right field for a base hit. What was the key for you in that at bat?
Just competing, not giving in, trying not to, I thought I missed some pitches early on that I could have done some damage with, but, just not trying to do too much in that moment, trying to get the guy in from second base and just competing my butt off in that spot.
When you have a long at bat like that and you are fouling off pitch after pitch, do you feel like the advantage goes to the hitter in that kind of situation?
Yeah, you start to see more and more. I'd seen every pitch he had. Started to see kind of where each pitch needed to start to do some damage on. And I think as it goes on, you get a little more comfortable. You start to think along with them, and able to get a hit there.
Another good moment for you yesterday. Now an 8-game hitting streak, career-long hitting streak. What do you feel like is going well for you right now?
Yeah, stringing together good at-bats, taking my walks too, which has been big. But just being aggressive in the right spots and not trying to do too much, stay in the middle of the field, but just be ready to hit.
Lefty on lefty, it's something you're seeing a lot more of now as you continue to not just play every day, be in the lineup every day, but also stay in there late in the game against left-handers. How do you feel about your development so far this season against lefties in particular?
Yeah, I think it's a huge step for my career in general. Something I've always wanted to do. I know it's not an easy gig. But it's something that where I want to compete against those guys. I want to be in those moments, and still improving. Still have a lot of work to do in those situations, but improving every day on it, working every day at it, and wanting those moments.
What are some of the keys of improving, continuously against left-handers?
Yeah, I think getting a lot of work in the cage, seeing those different reps. Picking out different starting points because, those back end guys are no joke. And so those are the guys that you really got to bear down against. You're not trying to look to, trying to hit homers in those situations. You're trying to be short to it and you get a pitch to hit and not miss it. That's the biggest thing. You very rarely get 1 or 2 pitches in the bat to do damage on. And so you can't miss those 1 or 2.
We're joined by Gavin Sheets here on the Padres Radio Network. Obviously, it's been 2 pretty back-and-forth games. Yesterday we have warnings issued. What's been your impression getting into the foray that is Dodgers and Padres here?
No, it's 2 really good teams competing against each other, and you expect high emotions. You expect it. When we're at Petco, and then now we're here at Dodger Stadium. Every fans are on edge. Players are competing hard, and we understand the importance of these series, and just 2 teams competing.
Gavin, great job yesterday. Great job as of late at the plate. Thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by El Centro Motors Ford. Meet your new Ford General Manager, Greg Ryan, now at El Centro Motors Ford, your new Ford truck, Bronco, and SUV HQ. Call Greg directly at 619-944-0774.
Key number one, slow down Andy Pages. Andy Pages has had a big series, the 2 home runs and 3 RBIs yesterday, a double and 2 runs scored on Monday. Pages is batting .354 with 6 home runs, 20 RBIs in his last 21 games. He's on pace for 33 home runs and more than 100 RBIs. Slowing down Andy Pages once again in this lineup, playing left field and batting 6 for LA here tonight. That is key number one. Key number two, capitalize on a worn-out Dodger pen. Michael Kopech and Anthony Banda are almost certainly unavailable after 3 appearances in the last 4 days. Lou Trevino threw 33 pitches yesterday, and Sander Scott has pitched in 3 consecutive days. Justin Robleski is likely the long man for middle innings tonight if the Dodgers need it, with Alex Vesia, Kirby Yates as the high leverage guys available today in the Dodger bullpen. The point being of this key, this is not a fresh pen at all, and Emmett Sheehan isn't going to go beyond 65, 70 pitches today in his first start back from Tommy John. So the Padres have yet another opportunity to capitalize on what is a pretty worn-out Dodger pen. That's key number two. We'll see if the Padres can take advantage of that. Key number three, hey, X-Man, we need you. Xander Bogaerts is sitting just .206 in his last 29 games with only 6 RBIs in that span. He's come to the plate with men on base in 16 of his last 23 plate appearances against the Dodgers this season. He's come to the plate with men on base in 16 of his 23 plate appearances against the Dodgers this season. In those 23 plate appearances, he left 16 on base in those 5 games. He left a ton on last night. Xander is just 2 for his last 26 with runners in scoring position. Not trying to pile on here. I'm just giving you the numbers, and the Padres need Xander Bogaerts when there are guys on base like there were last night. They need the X-Man to be a run producer. Bogaerts batting 6th and playing shortstop for the Padres here tonight. And that's a look at our keys to the game. First pitch coming up at 7:10. We'll hear from Fernando Tatis Jr. in just a little bit. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
Let's start with the 3 games that got rained out today. Brewers and Cubs, Cardinals and White Sox, Pirates and Tigers all rained out earlier tonight. We have a bunch of games going on right now. We do have a couple of finals. First, the finals. Phillies beat the Marlins 4-2 in Miami. Red Sox beat the Mariners 3-1 earlier tonight in Seattle. Games going on right now. Rockies and the Nationals are scoreless in the 5th inning in D.C. Angels 3, Yankees 2 in the 8th inning in the Bronx. Blue Jays leading the Diamondbacks 8-1 in the 8th inning in Toronto. Reds 2, Twins 1 in Cincinnati in the 2nd. Braves leading the Mets 5-0 in Atlanta in the 9th inning. If the Mets don't come back, they'll have lost 5 in a row. Rays and the Orioles tied at 8 in Tampa Bay in the 6th inning. Royals lead the Rangers in Arlington 4-3 in the 6th inning. Guardians and the Giants are just underway in San Francisco in the 1st inning there. They are scoreless. One other game yet to begin aside from this one, Astros and the A's in Sacramento at 7:05. Framber Valdez on the mound for Houston. Luis Severino on the mound for the A's. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Wednesday. When we come back, we hear from Fernando Tatis Jr. We get you ready for first pitch coming up at 7:10 here in LA on the Padres Radio Network. Live here from Dodger Stadium in LA, our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch coming up at 7:10. Padres sending right-hander Stephen Kolek to the mound. Dodgers sending right-hander Emmett Sheehan to the hill. Should be a fun one. Game 3 of this 4-game series coming up in just a little bit. We go to Jesse Agler and Mark Grant on the air tonight at the very top of the hour. We'll hear from Fernando Tatis Jr. in just a moment. First, let's tell you what to watch for in tonight's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For, presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in tonight's game. Can the Padres grab a lead and hold on to it? Kevin Acee had this in the San Diego Union Tribune this morning. Last night's 8-6 loss was the 16th consecutive game where the Padres had a lead at some point. They are only 7-9 in those last 16 games. Padres had multiple leads early on Monday. They had multiple leads early yesterday. Can they grab a lead? Leads are good, but then hold on to it here tonight. That's what to watch for in Game 3 of this 4-game series. Of course, you also have to wonder if we see any carryover from what went on last night. Fernando Tatis Jr. getting hit by a pitch in the top of the third, then Randy Vasquez hitting Shohei Ohtani in the bottom half of the third. Some of the things that were said after the game by both teams, and you also think about the warnings that were issued yesterday. We had some drama, and you do have to wonder if any of that drama carries over into today. Here was Fernando Tatis Jr. earlier today inside the clubhouse, his impression of this series so far and the atmosphere here so far in LA.
Two teams just going at it. That's extra. But these two teams trying to win a ball game.
What did you make of that hit by pitch yesterday? Did you think there was intent there?
I'm trying to play a game. I don't see it that way, but it's been a couple of times I've been hit, and it's just part of it.
You guys knew that this stretch on your schedule was going to be a really, really tough one, really important one, playing a lot of rivals, a lot of road series. Do you make of this kind of recent little stretch where you've struggled a bit as a team? Is that just part of that tough stretch, or does it kind of need to change to get going in the right direction?
We just need to get better. Obviously, we're playing the division. Games matter twice. We need to play better as a collective group.
It is just June, but how important are those next 2 games?
They are really important. Like I said, they matter the most. We're playing the division. I'm trying to gain some room, but it's not looking that way. So we just need to keep getting better.
Do you expect there might be more, weird stuff going on these next 2 games, given what's happened already this series?
I don't think so. I don't see nothing growing. There's a lot of Hall of Famers out there, and the future Hall of Famers out there. So everybody know how to handle this stuff.
That was Fernando Tatis Jr. inside the Padres clubhouse earlier today, and we'll see if emotions run high once again here at Dodger Stadium as we get ready for Game 3 of this 4-game series. First pitch coming up at 7:10. The Padres enter today a record of 39-33. Dodgers at 45-29. Padres entering today 5 games behind LA for first place in the National League West. So no doubt about it, these next 2 games do feel very important. Could be the difference between the Padres being quite a bit behind in mid-June as far as the NL West, or maybe just moving something like 3 games behind LA, staying right in this division race. So no doubt, after losing the first 2 games of this series, after going 1-4 on this 7-game road trip so far, next 2 games do feel very important for the Padres. And today they turn to their young right-hander Stephen Kolek on the mound, Emmett Sheehan on the mound for LA. Let's dive into tonight's pitching matchup.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Right-hander Stephen Kolek on the mound for the Padres. So far in 2025, he's 3-2 with a 3.50 ERA, 8 starts, 46 innings and a third, 34 strikeouts and 18 walks. His last start against Arizona was a rougher one for him. 4 innings and a third, 4 earned runs allowed on 7 hits. He also gave up 2 home runs. 2 starts prior to that were both great. 5 2/3 scoreless innings against the Brewers, and then the same against the Giants as well. This will be Kolek's first start against the Dodgers. He made 4 appearances against them last year out of the bullpen. 3 of them were scoreless. He was charged with 2 earned runs in the other appearance. He actually didn't give up a hit in any of the 4 appearances, so that's certainly good news. Kolek has been better against righties than lefties this year. Righties batting .216 against them, a .479 OPS. Lefties at .286 against them with an .880 OPS. So you look at the lefties in this lineup today for LA. It's Ohtani, it's Freeman, it's Muncy, it's Edman, the switch hitter, it's Kim, it's Rushing. So there are a lot of lefty bats in that Dodger lineup tonight. Kolek has also been excellent on the road so far this season, a 1.75 ERA in 6 starts on the road so far in this first go-around starting in the major leagues. That's a look at Stephen Kolek. Meanwhile, on the mound for the Dodgers, right-hander Emmett Sheehan. He is just 25 years old, coming off the IL to make his first start since September of 2023. He had Tommy John surgery in May of last year. He maxed out at 63 pitches on his rehab assignment, so he'll probably be limited to somewhere around 65, 70 pitches today. A 6th-round pick out of Boston College in 2021. He made his major league debut almost exactly 2 years ago. He threw 6 no-hit innings in that debut against the Giants. Back in 2023, he allowed 3 runs or fewer in 9 of his 13 appearances, made 11 starts back in 2023. He struck out 64 in 60 innings and a third, so he is a guy that can strike out guys. But again, the big headline tonight for Emmett Sheehan, his first start since September 2023 after having Tommy John surgery. So it will be interesting to see how the command, how the velocity is here tonight for Emmett Sheehan. And that's a look at our starting pitching matchup between Sheehan and Stephen Kolek. As always, thank you for listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. Well, it's a nice night here at Dodger Stadium. The fans still filing in. Both teams warming up on their respective sides of the field. Should be a lot of fun. The ceremonial first pitch being thrown out right now, and the Padres trying to win here tonight after falling in the first 2 games of this 4-game set. Can they pull off a dub here tonight? Well, we're going to find out in just a little bit. When we come back, it's Jesse Agler, it's Mark Grant. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.